Phoenix Down Radio is on the air. With your hosts, Klauss Nightbringer, Sertomono, Seyo Mayo, and Luna Vox.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 27. We're in our second year, guys. Can you believe that? Just celebrated our 1 year anniversary on our last episode, and now we are in year 2. What's going on, Luna and Chille? I know you're there. Well, what's going on my end? Oh. That might help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have us all muted. So,
hi. The curse continues.
Go.
We're doing it live.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My bad.
Anyway, so welcome. We have special guests with us this week. Joining us from the MuseCastXIV podcast, we have Remix Sakura and Emi. How are you doing today, ladies?
Hi, yeah, I'm doing great. Oh gosh, it's great to be here.
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. It's a great way to start our second season, if you want to call it that, our second year. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got FanFest coming up in a month. Are you guys going to be going to that?
Yes.
Oh,
we are really excited for that.
Oh,
you bet your butts.
I am so stoked for it right now. I mean, I honestly can't believe that we're going.
I know, I'm right there with you. I'm still in disbelief that in less than a month from now, I'm going to be in Vegas.
Yeah. We're going to be...
Did anybody else attend the 2014 FanFest?
I didn't.
I did
not
either.
I did in London. Does that count?
I guess I'm the only one that was at the 2014 North America Fan Fest, and I mean I've been playing for like little less than a year at that point, and I still thought it was one of the best experiences of my life. So now that it's been almost 3 years, and we're a podcast now, it's going to be completely off the chain. Like every time I think about it, like I get like rapid heartbeat, and I'm like, okay, calm down.
How great is it going to be to like meet all the fellow podcasters and other players of Final Fantasy XIV? Like you don't see, at least from my experience, you don't see a whole lot of people who play Final Fantasy XIV in everyday life, and just all of them gathered in one place is really exciting.
It's going to be amazing.
I don't know about you, but I walk down the street and I see fellow players just all the time, right? That's
Yeah.
Yep, they wear it on their sleeve, right?
Well, it must exist in the UK because every copy of Games Master gets sold out as soon as it opens. I never see who buys them, but they just
They're all in hiding.
They only made 5 copies. That's the thing. But our other co-host who couldn't make it today, Sarah, he was at the 2014 FanFest, and he was actually one of the volunteers. So yeah, he said it was an amazing experience. So are you guys gonna be staying at the Paris then as well? It's gonna be so much nicer not having to drive. I mean, Luna and I are gonna have enough of a drive coming down. We're driving from here to Vegas, so. It's going to be like a 24-hour drive.
Where is here?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that is a long trip.
It's going to be an interesting experience, but like I said, I haven't had a road trip in so many years. I'm really looking forward to that portion of it, almost as much as I am FanFest, honestly.
Honestly, I see it as the first few hours are going to be fine, and then like
Are we there yet?
6 hours into the drive, we're going to start getting on each other's nerves, and then it's just going to slowly progress into like total chaos. And then as soon as we get out of the car in Vegas, I'm going to be like, okay, fuck you guys, I'm going.
Go ahead.
When we started this trip, you were my best friends, and now I hate you all.
I want to stab you all in the eye.
Right? Well, I don't think it'll be quite that bad. I think it'll be all right. We've got it planned out pretty good. Speaking of...
I'll be flying over for FanFest.
Yeah, for a long flight. You'll be flying almost as long as we'll be driving.
Yeah, 11 hours.
Okay, not quite.
No.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, our hour is 24, so
Yeah.
That doesn't include all the stops. So I've got a couple more. I've got a couple of hour stops as well.
yeah, we'll still be driving longer than you are flying.
Yep. Like I said, it'll be like our own version of Final Fantasy 15 live, right?
Oh God, the romance will be real.
Anyway, speaking of FanFest, we actually, if you're following the Phoenix Down Radio Twitter, and why wouldn't you be, right? At PHXDN Radio, you'll see that I tweeted out a little package that I got on Friday. We got our FanFest swag. I ordered a bunch of buttons that we're going to be bringing with, so if you're going to be at FanFest and you want one, just look for us and let us know. We'll hook you up. So
Look for the chubby girl with bright green hair,
or the super tall guy,
and it'll probably about 1 time out of 5 be me. So
in Vegas, yeah. You never know.
I believe we've got our own merchandise from MuseCast to give away if you find us, but we'll be a little bit easier to identify because we'll have silly t-shirts on.
We will.
Well, yeah, we'll have a couple of Phoenix Down Radio t-shirts on, but we don't have those to give away though, so they got kind of.
And I'll be the confused British person walking around going, "Where the hell am I?
Where do I get mac and cheese around here?"
I was just about to say that. Oh.
You're never gonna live that down, are you, Chille?
Not until he has mac and cheese.
No.
No.
Well, FanFest will be the time for that.
There you go. Find some good gourmet mac and cheese.
Remember, Chille. Remember, Chille. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Wait, so that means you're still going to take the piss out of it because it once I leave Vegas, I'll never had it again.
Pretty much.
Not quite that bad. Anyway, moving on. Luna and I also had a fabulous time last night. The reason why we're doing this now tonight on Sunday versus our normal night Saturday is we had tickets to go see a New World Final Fantasy in St. Paul last night. It was myself, Luna, and our friend Nicknar, Bulu from the in-game. And was that amazing or was that amazing?
That was so amazing. And I've talked to several people who've gone to the other one, the Distant World concert, and they said, yeah, it was a big auditorium, full orchestra, and the fact that our show was so intimate and small and like we could look people in the eyes, I think that just made it that much better.
Yeah, like I said, it was just a small chamber orchestra. There was a string quartet and a standing bass. There was a guitar, three-piece wind section, a percussionist, and a piano. That's it.
Oh God!
Wow,
And
that sounds really, really nice.
it really was, and the pianist was freaking
Amazing.
amazing,
Yes.
amazing. Like his solos, they blew me away.
He had 2 solos. One of them was the battle music from Final Fantasy VII, and that was just a phenomenal arrangement.
Yeah, it. Oh my God!
And Luna almost lost it on Xanarkand.
The tears were forming. They were there and they were ready, and my heart.
No, it was absolutely. I mean, goosebumps. I'm not kidding.
I know. Yeah, I mean, like I look over at you. I'm like, look at my arm. Look at my arm.
Like,
and I'm like,
you see it? And
feels.
Nick Nar can attest to it too. It was just an awesome time. I mean, it's a totally different experience from A Distant World. So, I mean, if you have the opportunity, please, by all means, if they're in your city or nearby, go check them out. You can go to ffnewworld.com. There's samples of the repertoire that they play, as well as the listing of their upcoming shows. So if they're nearby, I recommend it highly.
Yeah, and the encore was worth it. Like just for that.
Yeah, my hands were bright red just from clapping for the encore because it was amazing. And yeah, I never would have imagined that hearing One Wing Angel from that small of a group would have that big of a sound.
It did, and it was amazing, and I would go back again if I could.
So
In fact, I probably will once they get here again.
Yeah. So they've been here. They were here when they first started in 2013, I believe it was. So I'm hoping that this one comes around more frequently. This was at a small bar that they closed down for the evening. There was maybe 250 people there per show.
Probably about that.
There were 2 shows that night, but it, like I said, just awesome. So it was amazing. Yeah, and apologies on that remix. Yeah, we kind of have links locked down.
Oh, no problem. While you were chatting, I thought I'd hit up the chat room.
Oh, no problem. That's cool. But yeah, what she was trying to type out there was their Twitch is twitch.tv/MuseCastXIV. So you can go check them out when they do their streaming.
Yeah, we honestly just have to figure out how you can stream roleplay properly.
You'd almost have to have a setup like this where you get a bunch of the people within a voice chat that you can kind of act it out. It'd be through one person's eyes mostly, but
yeah.
That's fine. It's more like so much of it is going on in the chat window, and if you can't read the chat window, it's not going to be terribly interesting.
Yeah, that's tough. But anyway, so that was kind of our take on that. Let's jump in and talk with our guests then a little bit. We're going to do a little more of a formal Q&A with you guys, but why don't you just kind of give us a really quick tell us about yourselves so we can kind of get to know you a little bit before we jump into all that.
I mean, what kind of things do you want to know?
Well, I'll start out.
There.
Okay, and I will follow suit.
It's real easy going right now.
Sure. My name is Remix Sakura. I am the co-host of MuseCastXIV, and I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV almost since the game came out. I started in December of 2000 and whatever year it came out. I know that the game started in August, so pretty long time player. My home has been the Gilgamesh server for most of that time, and fun fact, I've never Fantasia'd a character.
Nice.
Way, one of us.
Go Malafell.
Yep. So I started RPing probably even less than a year ago, because of Emi. I should say I started role-playing in Final Fantasy XIV, but I've done RP in different fandoms throughout my life, basically, or even just more freeform, because roleplay is a thing that takes on pretty much the same format no matter what verse or world or fandom you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But I started because, well, Emi started first. She started making posts in a Facebook group about her Nanamo character, and every time that she would post, I would get so excited, and they were so cute. And eventually, she created a post that says, "Hey, who wants to join our group?" And then, there was an inner Movav, I guess, in my head that was poking at me and like, psst, psst, "Hey, I want to join," you know. and you know, and she prompted me to join. I guess my inner Muse was calling me.
It was just like, yes, do it.
Very cool.
Do it, Remix. Yeah, so I'm Emi. I guess I'll continue from here. I'm Emi. I am the other co-host of MuseCastXIV, and I've been role-playing in the game for, I guess, going on a year, and playing Final Fantasy XIV for about 2 years now. I guess a little bit less than that. What else here? I also reside primarily on the Gilgamesh server. I have way too many Nanamo clones to count. And
you almost had another one, so.
Yeah, well, this is one that transferred over for this podcast. This one was one that started out on Cactuar, and I just moved her over. So I started role-playing really to get in touch with a friend of mine who I met on Tumblr, and just wanted to make a character there. I didn't really have many ideas, but I figured, hey, I can try and give role-playing a try. I'll try and make a clone of Nanamo and see how well it works. And I liked it and ended up starting a free company, which is the Sultan Sworn over on the Lich server. And we are an FC of just completely, well, with one exception, but almost completely NPC clones who like to roleplay and do events like that. So since then, met Remix, and we started up this little podcast, MuseCastXIV. And now we're here.
And as far as kind of our respective domains, Emi is our sound master and has helped me learn a lot about how to actually record properly, even though things would be much better if we could, have fancier setups or fancier software. But, even though if it's a home recording situation, we still have very, very high standards. And I think it's because of her. And, so many people have complimented us on how we sound. And, that's thanks to her. And I think that we both think very highly of making a very high quality presentation. I've seen that a lot of podcasters don't do this, but we actually heavily edit our work. We record on separate vocal tracks, and then we go in and adjust timing, adjust pacing, and cut out all the tangents, maybe filler words, coughs, noise, and things like that. And I think we get a really good result. But
here you get to hear us uncut.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think we both also take very seriously the way we perform on the mic,
We do. I come from a voice acting background. I still do voice act for animations and games like that when I'm not playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, she's pro. She's so pro.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that's something that I like to do in my free time. Just a little fun fact.
Cool. Well, again, we really appreciate you guys joining us and talking about role-playing with us when we get to, down to our discussion topic. But for right now, we actually did have a pretty big event go on this weekend over in Japan, the Tokyo Game Show 2016. So who has been keeping up with what's gone on there? Anybody?
I was on Twitter like 2 a.m. last night reading about it.
There's been a lot of stuff. I mean, a huge amount of games have been announced, not only by Square Enix, but a lot of other game publishers. So there's going to be, Tokyo Game Show is one of the big game shows in the world. So it's a lot of people will introduce a lot of new stuff there. Chille, I know you cover a lot of different games for your other podcasts, but did you really see any surprises come out of TGS?
Not really, to be honest. Most of it I really expected. A lot of the shows now, because of all the leaks and stuff before shows happen, it's not as big as it used to be.
But it's still. There was a huge Square Enix presence there.
Oh yeah, Square Enix was one of the biggest ones there, I think.
Yeah, they had what was it? 16 different games that they talked about. I think. Most of them Final Fantasy, not all of them, but what we're going to start with is one of the big things that we were really interested in was Live Letter 32 was live during the TGS on Friday night, Saturday morning. I was sleeping, as I usually am during that time, but Luna was up, kind of watched some of that.
Oh, yes, I sure was.
Chille, did any of you other guys watch any of this?
I was asleep.
All my friends were watching it. I was not.
I honestly prefer to just read the recaps afterwards rather than to watch the actual thing.
I sort of agree. It's really nice to have everything consolidated as opposed to just watching everything.
Yeah.
In however long these letters are.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed watching them live. Life hasn't allowed me to lately, but like I said, you kind of get some really good hype when you get to see it live and when you see what Yoshi's going to present next. But it is easy to see, just go back and get the digest afterwards, which is what I did for this. And I want to throw shout outs to Mr. Happy and Marco Turn for their unofficial translation during the live stream, as well as the official translation done by Bayonne on the Square Enix forums. We will put links to those out in the show notes, so you can check that out when we get this posted. But they started out with a new trailer. Lots of hype in that. There was some really cool things that they showed in that trailer. A lot of good voice acting. They showed a lot of content for the different stuff that we're going to be getting, and we're going to talk about it in order that it went through the trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, like I said, we'll link that as well with the translations. They started out with the new raid we're going to be getting, Alexander the Creator.
Woohoo!
So we will be getting a normal and savage mode of that. Hopefully this time it's not going to be super face roll and super what the hell am I doing, like the last two kind of have been as far as difficulty levels go.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk with Yoshi in a few interviews lately, talking about how they're going to be doing some adjustments when it comes to the difficulty levels, but not necessarily that they're going to be really dropping the difficulty level, but they're going to reduce the DPS checks and make it more of a mechanics style fight.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of exciting.
So it'd be cool to see how that goes. Hymuck in the chat. No, I'm not saying that the savage modes were face rolls. I'm talking about the story modes were face rolls. So, but
you say that though, but I had a run last night that couldn't beat Ravana in trials. The tank, I told him to go into Defiance. They said he just got confused and ran in. And then after that, I told him, okay, if you don't want to go into Defiance, I'll go into Defiance, and you go into I can't remember what the warrior tank stance is called. Deliverance, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just as we were running out of time, he said, "What's a stance?"
Oh my god.
Oh.
Wait,
is this in Savage? Is this in Savage or
just
normal?
Normal.
Oh,
okay.
But it was level 60.
Savage,
so
I would just.
it was level 60, so.
Well, then, it's kind of on the player to ask questions as well. You can't expect people to vomit out, advice without knowing what people need advice on. So.
Yeah, but a stance, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should be like, "Hi, I'm relatively new to this. Any stuff you can help me with would be awesome." That or when you mentioned what it was, they should have said, "What's that?" Not wait till the end.
Yeah. So I was sat there going, "My soul hurts. I'm crying inside."
So, what did you guys think about that Mega Faust that they showed? That giant Faust.
I am very excited about that. Because my main character is a minimum height Lalafell, and I main tank for my static.
Oh boy.
So just the thought that my little tiny baby Lalafell is going to be tanking that giant thing is very exciting. I am looking forward to that so much.
My character is also a tank miniature Lalafell. So
oh boy.
I approve of this.
Squeesh.
The tiniest of tanks.
It's great. Making a tiny tank is...
Honestly,
even if it's
they're
only
so
for visual
small. They're so small you can't hit them, so they're like the perfect tanks.
Yeah, it's a perfect evasion tank, right? No hitbox. You can't hit me. But
yeah,
some of the other monsters that they showed in there, they had like almost looked like an Ark airship, and then they had these giant gobbies, and then at the very end they show that we're gonna be fighting the actual Alexander. That was kind of cool, but it seemed very Inception, or I'm sure, Exhibit would have something to say about that.
When I saw that, I thought Sephiroth, like, that just screamed Sephiroth to me. It looks like the Sephiroth fight to me, except bigger. So,
yeah. So I'm just interested in how the mechanics of that are going to work then. Or even almost like the Midgard Stormer fight.
Yeah, that too. God, but it just looks, it looks phenomenal. Like, you're jumping, like, for those who haven't seen it, the shield comes down and you are literally on the outside of Alexander, jumping from blast of steam to blast of steam until you get to the very top of him. And it is, oh my God, it just gives me the feelings.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting look. Like I said, I'm hoping that the story can match, or improve a little bit.
I'm actually really looking forward to the music again. I really hope they can, if not match, go beyond what they did for the music in A8.
A8, the Sentai kind of feel.
I really want them just to go above and beyond with it.
Yeah, we'll definitely hope that they... that's one thing, they really do a good job in the music in this game. They got Nobuo and they've got Soken. It's fabulous music. I mean, Final Fantasy, as we witnessed last night, has no shortage of beautiful music.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried on that aspect of it. Anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to the creator?
I can't wait to see what the Savage version of Super Mega Ultra Forced is.
Oh boy.
Yes.
2 Super Mega Ultra Forced.
Super Mega Ultra Forced.
Super Happy Ultra Mega. I don't know. Exactly. You kind of trip over those words when you go that way. Moving on. Housing updates. So we were way wrong on apartments.
Oh, I know so many people who are pissed, straight up, like enraged because of these.
How?
I know some people who are enraged as well.
Well, okay, so let me just break it down for you. With the apartments, every single ward in all 3 housing wards gets 90 apartments. So the main ward and the sub ward, 90 wards. There's just under 6,500 in each server.
Something
if I'm
like
not
that.
correct. I believe it was 6,480 apartments per server. They showed off the commons area. It's a pretty nice commons area and sitting places. They showed the chocobo stable on the outside. It didn't, I don't know about anyone else, but it didn't blow me away.
Well,
don't know if anyone else has different feelings about it.
I like the little aquarium.
Yeah, the rooms seem kind of small, and I was in some ways expecting that. Where I'm a bit concerned with is I am on Gilgamesh, and I also have Anonymous Alt on Balmung.
Mm-hmm.
And for smaller servers, I can see where instances where a lot of the apartments would not be claimed. There were some cases when the last wave of housing wards went out, where goblet houses, there were entire wards that were empty for weeks. But on places like Balmung and Gilgamesh, you had a bunch of house campers. And I'm still worried that maybe that's not enough for those mega servers where you have so many people who are looking for housing.
No, those servers have 20,000 plus active players.
Yeah,
and if
they're going to be more camping. There's going to be more camping is my prediction for Gilgamesh, Balmung, and what have you.
And I believe you can get an apartment even if you have a house.
Yep,
Really?
That's true.
You can.
So
I'm kind of wondering whether or not I should get an apartment for that reason on Gilgamesh, because, I kind of want to save the apartments for people who already, who don't have the housing.
Well, here's my guff with it. These apartments, they're $500K each, and literally there's no perk to having them. Like, if you have a house, like an FC house, you can have the airships or stuff like that.
The only thing you get is a chocobo stable.
Yeah, pretty much. But with it, it is barely bigger than an FC. Not by much.
I thought they were basically the same size.
It's just barely bigger.
So maybe like the size of the top floor of a small?
The bottom floor of a small is, sorry for interrupting here. The bottom floor of a small is the same size as an FC room.
Yep. So it's just barely bigger than that. Like, not even half a wall more, but yeah, it's just barely bigger. Plus, you're spending an extra $200K for something that's just barely bigger. I can see where it would be worth it if they have the gear slots increased for it. But other than that, I'm still really torn about it.
There are people that don't have free companies out there. There are
That's
solo
true.
players out there.
Yep.
And this is the only opportunity they really have to get housing.
So I would say they're a very small minority, though. Probably less than 20%. Probably less than 10%. Most people, when they join because of a friend. So they will generally join their free company, or they'll start one up with somebody.
Yeah.
But there are still a few people who have free companies that don't have houses.
Yeah, that's very true too. But these are all just solo rooms. You can't share them with anyone or anything like that.
So it's not a perfect solution. I mean, it's definitely more. It'll handle the majority of the population for most servers, but there's still going to be,
How many housing was it again?
Sorry, what's that?
How many housing was it?
About 6,500.
Yeah, that's more than my active servers on my active characters on my server.
Yep. But, so, I mean, I was thinking about buying one in Lavender Bed just so I have a housing unit in each of the 3 districts.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting one in the Mist myself.
So
I mean, and plus I love decorating houses, as you can see, as we're in one of my houses I've decorated.
Oh, that's the same here.
Absolutely love it. I've actually had people pay me money to decorate their houses.
Luna Vox interior decorator.
You don't know. It's Luna Vox's Craft Services. Thank you, with a C. But anyways, kind of moving on from that point, they also showed us the aquariums.
Yep.
Which, oh my god, they get so freaking huge.
Yeah, the small is basically just a little fishbowl, but the large is large.
The large is bigger than this fireplace back behind us.
Well bigger.
It'd take up probably the whole entire wall.
And it can showcase up to 4 different fish for the large. Or one really large fish.
Yeah,
so
something like that.
So there's different sized fish you can put into there. Like I said, you obviously can't put a really, really big fish into a small tank. But
so if you're one of those few people who have kept your green fishes around, now's the time to use them. Well, not now, but when you get the aquarium.
Now is the time to buy them before they go up in price.
Oh,
That's
shit, you're
true.
right.
If you're a big fisher,
I'm going to need to do that.
Sorry, guys. Podcast over. I got to go fish.
Yeah.
See you guys.
I'm going to switch characters. Bye, guys.
Gotta go get that fish.
Yeah, but the other thing, kind of going off of what we were talking about, the housing reclamation timers are starting back up. So that'll be nice. That maybe we'll get some houses coming available again.
Yep,
that's really nice.
And the housing wars will start.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some on Lich. There's one right next to my FC house, which has just had no house sitting on it for the longest time, and I'm just waiting for it to go back up.
Start camping it as soon as the servers go up. Jump over there and say, "Is it?"
I mean, like, I'm not planning on buying it, but I just like to have somebody more active take it.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and for those, I'm just gonna give my little tips out. If you are looking into getting a house and you're going to be camping that, set yourself to busy, because people are dicks. And if you're in the menu to buy the house, and if they trade you, they kick you out of the menu. So set yourself to busy so they can't kick you out.
Yep, good call. All right, so moving on from that, the next thing they showed in the trailer was the new dungeons. First one was Zelfatal, the Ixal area in the mountains. Very Ixal looking, definitely. Seems like some interesting mechanics in that location. That Ixal machinist dual wielding those pistols on that balloon. That was kind of crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice the pistols until someone pointed out. I was just really confused and excited about the balloon.
So is that going to be maybe our new mount? We're going to have a balloon strapped to our back?
That'd be really actually kind of cool.
But the machinists are going to ask, when do I get my dual-wield pistols?
The day I get my balloon mount.
I would love a balloon mount for my Lalafels.
Oh my god, just have a Lalafell hanging off some balloons.
It would be so cute.
Oh.
And then that final boss summoning Garuda. So
oh my god.
That's going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, it is. Hello, bae.
And then they showed the Great Google Library Hard. Now that one really looked to be kind of menacing.
Mm-hmm.
You thought that the first time through it was bad. Now we're going to... Demon Book's so pissed he jumps out of his book. We get the Living Flame, so we get Jigglybutt's fiery cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And then that owl boss.
Yeah. I've kind of noticed a running theme with the bosses here. That they're summoning, like, they're their own entity, but they summon old bosses to fight for them.
Yeah.
Like, as you said, the owl boss actually summons Behemoth from a book.
Yep.
Record A.
That's going to be fun. I wonder what revision of a Behemoth we're going to get. Is it going to be like a... It won't be a king, because that's in one of the... That's Labyrinth.
In Loa.
Labyrinth.
That's in Loa, yeah.
And then we've got Kaiser out in Western Korthus. So this is just going to be regular Behemoth.
It could technically still be them because it's coming from a book.
That's true. So, I mean, it is a story version. It's just a magicked book.
They're breaking my immersion.
My immersions.
My immersion.
But no, I mean, it's going to be definitely an interesting set of dungeons. Then they showed the gear off for it.
Oh boy.
I didn't hate it. Most of it.
Oh boy. Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
Where's the elephant? I don't see it.
The elephant in the room. When they showed off the new gear sets.
Are you talking about the very colorful
appropriation?
Gear? Yeah.
I
wasn't gonna go there yet. I was talking.
I told you. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, let's hold off on that one. Let's talk about the tome gear. Is that gonna be the tome gear that they showed, the Charlatan stuff?
I don't know. That with the top hats in one?
Yes.
Probably, maybe.
I kind of dug the top hat look on some of those. I know a few of the classes have had that for a look. Now they're giving it to a few more.
I remember when I wore my top hat as a scholar.
So I mean,
I had a monocle.
There was a couple of the ones I didn't care for. The Machinist Bard one was okay. Probably won't ever. I'll probably keep my glamour because I love my Kiramu coat.
Yeah.
But okay, your elephant.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it could be not. It could be a mixture, an amalgamation of a number of different native references. I mean, not just North American, but it could also include some South American references and things like that. So it's. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest with you. I didn't care for the look.
I'm not sure either.
Japan is not nearly as racially aware or sensitive as we are in America. That's my only thought. They culturally appropriate like mad, and they don't really get what cultural appropriation is. They don't really even get what racism is on some level. It's kind of harsh, but I don't want to go off tangent, but like, it's just fucking Japan. That's all I can say.
Okay. Well,
they're a homogenous nation, at the end of the day.
They do kind of absorb a lot of the good as well as some of the bad of a lot of different cultures, so and incorporate it into their own, while still maintaining their own thing. So yeah, that's that.
I'm waiting for the first rant on Reddit if it's not there already.
No, it's gonna be on Tumblr.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. It's gonna be on Tumblr.
Like it's probably already
I've seen it it is already there on Tumblr. It is everywhere on Tumblr.
Lovely.
I mean, if you like it, I mean, it wasn't poorly done by any means. It was very colorful. It was very ornate. If you like that style, I think it was a decent style, but I'm just not sure how it fits or how it's going to fit within the game. We have no context to it, so it's really hard to draw a conclusion on it at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we'll have to maybe see what the context is before making any judgments. We're not Tumblr, so we're gonna wait.
Yep. Well, let's look forward to it. How's that?
Please look forward to it.
Exactly.
I don't even know what it is.
Did you not see the trailer?
Yeah, I saw the trailer, but I don't know what controversial outfit you're talking about.
There's a very native-looking set worn by a Godbert lookalike.
Oh, that cool-looking outfit.
Yes.
He's British. Don't mind him.
But it's a poncho. How can you hate ponchos?
It's more the headdress than anything.
Yes. I would agree with that. So like I said, once we see the context of said outfits, like I said, it might make a lot more sense to us.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Moving on. The PvP is getting some updates. That duel system. So it looks like we're going to be able to have multiple duels going on at once, which is kind of nice. At least that's the way they showed it.
There's already a plan for an illegal Lalafell fight.
Oh, God.
Rule number 1, there is no illegal Lalafell Fight Club. Rule number 2, there is no illegal Lalafell Fight Club.
And even if there is, we don't talk about it.
You don't talk about
the Novice Network. 1 million gil for the winner.
Oh boy.
Does Shannon know about that? But so there's going to be no level or eye level sync with that. So you go in with what you got. You go big or you go home.
Really, really cool, I think.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, similar leveled characters going at it, but then see, somebody talking big, but they're like way under leveled and just get, basically smacked down.
Or it could just be Paladin versus Paladin. It just could be a fight that lasts forever.
Yeah, so or White Mage versus White Mage. They'll just knock each other back.
Oh God!
out of range.
Heal themselves.
Yep. You'll heal yourself, and then you'll knock each other back at the same time out of range, and then you have to wait until the slow wears off, and it's just gonna repeat. It's gonna be ugly.
That reminds me of something that we were talking about, I think, on a previous episode of MuseCast, where we were talking about all the Eorzean leaders versus each other.
Oh, boy.
And how Kane would be such a pain to take down. Kane-senna would be such a pain to take down.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Of course, we're never wrong.
Do we even know what job Nanamo is?
Nanamo, I make her when I play her as a bard.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, wouldn't it technically be Raubon that would be taking on that role, though, in the fight?
Probably.
You know what? We also talked about how they could fight as a tag team.
Yeah, a tag team would be a very good idea.
Yeah, or she could be just sitting back there supporting, and keeping it Raubon's TP up, or maybe he's using some magic enhancements or something, and she's
have you watched that video about from Very Merry recently, where he's talking about jobs, and he was saying the fact that it could be possibly that Raubon's teased to be a blue mage.
I did not see that video, no, but
really,
that's
I
interesting.
haven't seen that.
Because Raubon's weapon is actually the blue mage relic weapon.
Really?
Yeah, it is a Skimtar style weapon, so yeah.
It's the same name.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and Raubon is also the name of the blue mage guy from 11 as well, and he was the leader of the Immortals. And as we know, Raubon from 14 is the leader of the Immortal Flames. So,
Yep.
Maybe they just did it all just because of names.
Yeah. It could also, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yep. But moving on, we're also getting that spectator mode. There's going to be multiple different camera angles and modes. There's going to be a free camera, a fixed camera, and a player camera, so you can actually follow a specific player as they fight through there, or you can kind of move around as you see fit. And you can have up to 8 spectators per match. So that's going to be kind of fun. Maybe making PvP into more of an esport, so you can do some commentating on Twitch.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to hit up the esports scene.
I guess it really could be fun. It gives you a chance to watch, other players go at it, maybe get some ideas on it. I'm wondering if this is something that can maybe come to raids or other content like that then coming soon. Or people could spectate, raid runs.
That would be really, really interesting if they do.
Mm-hmm. Like you want to maybe watch one of your server first groups in their progression through the creator, or something like that, and see what they do. So
that would be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming if they did something like that, it would have to be something you have to opt into, but. Because right now with the PvP, it's just custom matches only, so you have to basically enable it, I would bet. So that's coming, and that's going to be kind of interesting. They tease Hildebrand as a Dragoon.
Hildy.
It would explain his love of falling into grounds.
Yeah. So Hildebrand's a Raffle Dragoon, confirmed.
Yep, pretty much.
And that's
he had that spear in the very beginning, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's also had a sword and shield.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, you can
we can
cross and whatnot.
Yes, but the Warriors of Darkness and Derplander, they really haven't changed jobs that much.
Well, we haven't seen them as much as have we?
Well, Derplander went from Warrior to Dragoon, didn't he?
No, he went back to Warrior though.
Yeah, but he went from Warrior to Dragoon to Warrior. So
well,
technically, he changed his job twice.
Well, he had an identity crisis.
Not the Darkness Derplander.
How do we know?
He's still a warrior. They showed him. We'll talk about that in a second. So anyway,
he got sick of tanking normally, so
maybe
floor tank, and then realized he'd just go back to tanking.
Yeah, floor tanking, not much fun. They showed a little bit more about the Grand Company platoons. They basically showed a training montage. Was expecting some sort of really bad 80s montage music to go with it, maybe, but... So, they talked a little bit about it further on in the live letter, but from what it sounds like, for right now, it's going to be like a venture-style system, where you're not going to actually actively go in there. You're going to basically send them off and level them up.
Did
you guys kind of read that into it as well?
Yeah, it kind of feels like that.
Any other thoughts? Is this a system that's too little too late?
So I don't know if anybody played Final Fantasy Tactics, but they had a system very much like this where you could send your party members that you really didn't love very much on little missions. And a day would pass every time you would go to somewhere else on the map. So a mission would take so many number of days.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the venture, you would go back to the city and pick them up. And they would get treasure sometimes, EXP, or that was also how you would unlock certain dungeons. So I guess it's sort of like a mix of that and and sort of like an extended retainer venture.
Yeah, that was mentioned as well. The reference to that. I didn't actually play the game. I own it, but I haven't played it. Yes, I'm a bad. But
go play it. Stop this show right now.
Stop the show. Go fishing. Go play Tactics. Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. No, but no. I mean, it's opening up the door, though, potentially to giving us the ability to use them in dungeons going forward. They said they want to expand this system, and I know the more you do this, the more NPCs you can unlock. So it's going to be a very interesting system. I'm kind of interested to see how it all pans out.
My army of Lalafell shall be the best.
Oh, God.
We'll see. So then they had a quick Palace of the Dead preview. Yeah, I still haven't gotten past 21.
Yeah, me neither.
You're bad.
It's so much grinding. I went to go do it for my 130 weapon, I think it was, and it was just, it's a nightmare. And so I'm hoping that it's not going to be quite as grindy, but...
Am I the only one who's beaten it 5 times?
Probably.
Well, got 5 weapons.
Probably.
I've been in it, I think, 3.5. But I have a friend of mine who I think is watching this stream right now, and he's been in it so many times, just for all these different classes. He just wants to get the weapons, I think.
Yeah, I've got 5 of the weapons now. I've cleared it about 14 times, I think.
I am sorry.
Oh, boy.
And I can't wait to clear it some more for the new weapons.
See, I'm. Why is everything weapons? That's my biggest complaint right now. We have like 5 or 6 different weapons that we can go after. If you don't want your relic, you can go after your raid weapon. If you can't get your raid weapon, you can get your lore weapon. If you don't want your lore weapon, you can go get your Nidhogg weapon. If you don't want your Nidhogg weapon, you can go. It's all weapons now. We have no other choices for other pieces of gear, though. Do I want glowing armor, Andrew? It's something different. And we have glamour.
We have glowing armor, though, technically.
Yeah, very faint glows, but yes, you're right.
I want my armor to blind my enemies.
Yeah, no need to cast flash ever again.
Yeah, that'll be perfect for my paladin. He's a literal warrior of light. His weapon glows, his armor glows. You can't even see what's in front of you.
Oh, boy.
Are you tanking? I don't know. I can't even see myself.
I can't see what's going on. But I guess it's nice to have different types of weapons like that, but it would also be nice to have other types of gear too. Instead of just...
I guess they are doing that in this patch with the whole the Idleshire quest, but I won't say too much because you're probably going to it next.
We're getting into that shortly. So let's talk about the next thing then. The next trial we're going to be getting, Sophia the Goddess. That was an amazing looking battle arena.
It really is. I'm really excited. And that music. Oh my gosh, the music was so amazing, and I want it. And I don't care how much it is, I want it.
It's going to be. I mean, the different mechanics that they just previewed in that. I didn't watch the live letter digest or when Yoshi actually went into it. I'm basing this all off of the trailer now. So with that in mind, there are so many different mechanics that we're going to see on that, different phases. It's going to be quite the fight. I'm sure that the normal mode version won't be terribly difficult, but I'm betting that we're going to have a lot of fun in that extreme version.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful monster model though too. You have to admit that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it is. And the fact that she can separate from the base and do her own thing, and then the head goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking really forward to it.
Remix, your thoughts?
I have to be honest, I was looking at the show notes and thinking ahead.
Okay.
You're thinking about Sophia, right?
Sophia, correct. Your thoughts on the goddess fight?
It seems to have a Leviathan platform thing going on where you tip over. That's the only thing I observed. It's pretty. I mean, what can I say about the fight? I haven't fought it.
Yeah. One thing that they did mention, at least in the unofficial translation, I didn't read through the entire official translation, but it seems like if you fall off, you can still get rezzed back.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yep. So I'm betting that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
You couldn't do that with not an extreme version. Probably not an extreme version, though.
Who knows? But I'm betting it's going to be more like the Leviathan fight where you can't actually fall off in the normal version.
No, I think you can fall off in the normal.
Normal Leviathan? Nuh-uh.
No, not Leviathan. I mean normal Sophia.
Well,
maybe.
They didn't show the walls down, though. They still showed them up.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait to find out.
Exactly. I mean, this is all speculation now. So, I mean, take everything we say with a grain of salt. Except for what I say, because it's always right. I mean, what?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It looks to be a really good fight. They did a good job with Sephiroth, and I think this is going to be a good one as well.
Another extreme I'll probably ignore.
I'll get through. I'll eventually get through Nidhogg as well, but
I still haven't done Forden or Sephiroth.
It's going to be added in Raid Finder.
Yeah.
So,
Sephiroth's a fun fight.
It is.
It's long though. It's long, but it's pretty fun, and especially if you have a good group going.
Colors. Tethers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, people who've watched the stream when we were doing it, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Main scenario preview. There's that guy that's trying to rouse the rabble in Idleshire, and where's he come from? The guy in the mask, long hair.
You mean so we have a very, very strong theory about who this is.
I actually don't really have an idea on who that is yet.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't been thinking that hard about it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
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 Yeah?
Well, what's the theory?
Share. If you would.
It's got to be Ilberd.
It's Ilberd.
It's totally Ilberd.
Well, see, I don't listen to the English voice acting, so I can't compare that.
Oh, no, neither do I. But the fact that, so he's talking to a bunch of, dusty-looking Highlanders in Thanolin, a la Megans, probably.
Oh, I thought that was in Idleshire.
No, I thought it was in Thanolin. That's what it looked like to me.
Okay.
And there's also been a rumor going around on Tumblr that they said that somebody data mined the outfit that he's wearing, and I'm like, how do you do that? How is that possible?
You just look through the files on PC, and then they're all numbered. So what you do is you've got a third-party program that will model it for you once you just extract the files from the game.
But it shouldn't be out yet. It shouldn't be downloaded until the 3.4 patch is released.
Yeah, the outfit was already in the last patch.
Yeah, so apparently on the back of that outfit is the crest of Alamigo.
Okay. Interesting.
And he's also basically a fugitive, so he would have reason to cover his face.
True.
He would have reason to be inciting action among Elamigans.
True.
And I don't know, just a gut feeling.
Okay. Yeah, and it's people in the chat are confirming. Yeah, it was in Southern Than. They're saying they see it because he's Sunken Temple in the background. Maybe that's why I got the Idleshire thing with looking at ruined stone work. So I was half tired when I was putting the notes together. So I'll admit when I'm wrong. But anyway, so that's we get that scene. They show Papalimo holding part of Louiswa's staff. And so he's going to be making up. I don't know, is that a flashback or is that actually going to be something in the patch?
We don't know. Well, hopefully, I mean, we're getting to the end of the 3.x, so Ida and Papalimo need to make their appearance again.
Mm-hmm. So that's intriguing. Part of me thinks it's a flashback because he was wearing his old clothing.
It's possible.
So, and then they're showing scenes with Titan and Ifrit. We had Garuda in the dungeon back, with the Ixal. So, what are Titan and Ifrit going to be having to do with this?
Yeah,
I like the theory that the Warriors of Darkness are using the Eyes of Nidhogg to bring the summons up. Like Titan and Ifrit. Instead of using crystals, they're using the power from the Eyes of Nidhogg, and that's why they're going crazy.
You mean they're not just trying to get their relic?
Well, they've already got their basic level 50 relics, haven't they?
Maybe, but maybe they need to get the oil so they can upgrade it to Zeniths. But then we end up having that confrontation with the Warriors of Darkness. Looks like it might be happening in a what's the word I'm trying to think of, the Bowl of Embers type arena. There's a lot of fire around it during that part of the scene, but they're really building it up quite nicely. So I'm kind of interested to see what we end up doing. That's
why I believe the theory on the eye is true, because it looks like it's near where it would be.
I mean, yeah, they did send somebody down there to get it, falling, however many, fathoms didn't destroy the eyes, so.
Speaking of the Warriors of Darkness, can we have a prayer circle for Alize?
Oh, poor Alize.
Because she was shown, not in a very good state.
Yeah, how do we come across her then, right?
Every single patch trailer, they've shown one character, in trouble.
Prayer circle for Raubon last time.
Last time it was, prayer circle for Raubon, and then before that was, Emmerich. Prayer circle for Emmerich, he got stabbed.
Now it's Alize.
They just want to give us all heart attacks.
Be interested to see what introduces her back to the storyline again, and I know that's where the point where if you've beaten Coil, that's where you're going to get the change in the dialogue. Probably one or two lines, but... So if you haven't beaten Coil yet, go ahead.
That's another thing that I've been really, I really like seeing people go back and running old content and actually getting excited over it. I see so many people on Twitter, posting, we finally cleared Coiled. We finally cleared it. And it's just, oh my gosh, it makes me so happy because it's actual people enjoying the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Square is going to be doing something else to keep that going with the next piece of content that they're going to be introducing, Wondrous Tales. So they kind of explain the system a little bit on what that's going to be. It's not just like you did something, you talk to her and you get a reward like Jonathas and Gridania. No. It's going to be you complete objectives in a journal, turn it in, you get rewards. And those
very good rewards.
Those things you do are things like old raids, dungeons. Really, it's a way to recycle that old content again.
Mm-hmm.
So
are they like Atmo books?
I don't think it's gonna be quite that bad because you're not gonna have to go wait for fates.
For all we know, anyway.
Well, because I mean, realistically, the worst part of those books was waiting for those fates. Getting the dungeons done, that was easy, but those fates, though. So, like I said, I didn't see what rewards are coming out of it. I really hope they're going to be worthwhile. So, have you seen something that I didn't see?
Why
Chille?
isn't the smile of a cute Makode girl enough of a reward for you?
Uh-oh, I'm getting called out.
We want the loot.
Give me that loot, yo.
Don't you know?
Yeah, they showed off some eye level 250 gear and some crafting and gathering works gear based on ironworks.
Okay.
Oh.
The eye level 250 gear had 5 materia slots in it.
Wow.
So it's that's crafted stuff then.
It's not. It's you can craft it, or you can get the SP version from doing it from her. You can only get it once a week though.
Okay, but that's still just really entry level stuff for the patch because we're probably going to go up another 30 eye levels, so we're going to be capping at 270 on this.
Yeah, but 250 for doing stuff like extreme primals or something like that. To be honest, it's better just to get your ironworks gathering gear or crafting gear with it.
Well, we'll see what it is. So it'll be another system to get some of that content run. So we'll see how successful
it's called something SP. Okay. They all have SP at the end.
The other thing that they talked about that wasn't in the trailer was the lore book is up for pre-order in Japan for a December 27th release, I believe. But they hinted that it's going to be available for sale at NA FanFest.
Only pre-order.
Only pre-order?
Yeah. You can put in your pre-orders at FanFest. You can't physically walk away with the copy.
Darn. Yeah, that was my hope.
I thought that we were actually going to have the book ready to take with us.
Earlier than Japan will? How is that going to happen?
Because they love us?
Because, we're special North American.
No.
That's what's wrong with America. We think we're entitled. We
are role players. We are entitled to our lore book.
Yes.
Right now.
That's different. I mean, being America is like whatever. Being a role player, no, that's special.
Yeah.
Price-wise, I want to say it's going to be roughly the equivalent of about $40. It was like 4,000 yen.
Yeah.
Lore book or riot.
And it was going to come with a naming way minion.
Yeah, that's from Final Fantasy 9, if I'm right. It's a little rabbit thing.
Oh.
So I'm definitely going to be getting that.
You and me both.
Same here.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be broke. That's all I know. I'm going to be broke leaving FanFest.
Yep.
Anything you guys want to discuss about the live letter that I did not, that we haven't discussed?
I really only cared about the lore book.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Yeah.
So this is very random, and it seems like not a lot of people have watched the trailer with the English voice acting, but Papalymo's voice seems really, really low. Like, with that change, it's just... I don't know what happened to him, but his voice got low.
Well, there were a number of voice actors that were recast.
That's true.
So I'm wondering if that was one of them. But yes, I do recall that Papalymo's initial English voice actor did have a kind of high voice, though I switched it very fast to JP.
Oh my
really?
God, Klauss.
No, I really liked Papalymo in that one. I still am not a huge fan of Nanamo's portrayal, but at least it's better. The initial Nanamo was bad, but like it's kind of hit or miss for
there were
English,
some
I think.
English ones that were okay, but overall I had to switch it and turn on the subs because it was I couldn't stomach it. I'm sorry. So I've been listening to JP voice acting since probably 2.1.
Oh, I'm 100%, like 100,000% with Klauss because my first character started in Gridania like all those years ago. So you have Ida and Papalymo as your guardians, and like his voice is like nails on chalkboard. It's unlistenable. And
really?
Yeah, to me,
I thought it fit well.
It sounds like he's going through perpetual puberty.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, he's got low voice now, so you know.
Well, and he's canonically apparently like kind of an old man, so it doesn't really fit. And I actually had told my friend that had brought me into her free company. She's like, "How you liking the games for it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great. My biggest peeve is this awful voice acting." And she's like, do you have the voice acting in English? And I'm like, yeah, you can change it. She's like, this is where you go to change that shit to Japanese. And that's what I did. And that's where I have been ever since.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe you can call me a snob in many ways, but I find that a lot of times when I'm listening to Japanese voice acting in general, whether it's in video games, whether it's in anime, whatever, in a lot of cases it's superior. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of excellent English voice actors. It's just my preference has been with the original Japanese, just because it seems to fit a lot more of what you're seeing on screen.
You're not a snob, you're a weeb.
No, I agree. Overall, the Japanese, I think, fits a little bit better.
I'm gonna stick to my English ones.
Yeah, I will continue sticking to my English.
And it's cool that we get the option to do that, though. So.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that was an interesting little side discussion. So
one little thing, I don't know if you bring it up later, but the new event reward, the Squall outfit was shown off.
Oh yes, I didn't write anything about that, and it's the Squall from Dissidia, not from the game.
Yeah.
So
they all look amazing on my Lalafell.
Oh, well, you just like to dress like all the different Final Fantasy characters. You've got your Furion, you're wearing your Cloud now. You had your Zidane on earlier. So yeah, you've got them all covered.
I bought Paplamo, but it doesn't transfer over to this character.
Ah, bummer. Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Nicknar in the chat. I wish Hildebrand was voiced.
Oh gosh,
that would be amazing.
I wish Hildebrand had his own game.
Hildebrand game confirmed.
I want that to be a thing.
Yeah.
Well, fan voiceovers are a thing.
That's true.
I'm just saying that somebody should do like a Hildebrand radio play.
Interesting.
Let's start a campaign for that. Let's find a proper voice for it, and let's do it.
I have a few people in mind that would actually probably fit really well for their Hildebrand.
It's gotta be.
I know.
I don't know how to explain the voice, but I hear the voice in my head.
Me too. I wonder if we're thinking the same.
I think we might be. It's one of those very special types of voices, and it's really inflective. And anyway, moving on. Moving on. Some additional information we got from Tokyo Game Show out of Square Enix Final Fantasy related stuff. A bunch of new trailers dropped. There was a new story trailer that came out of Final Fantasy 15. Did you guys end up checking out any of those?
Nope.
I'm trying not to spoil myself anymore.
Really good. Gives some background on where the game is coming from. I really enjoyed it. They did also just release episode 5 of the anime Brotherhood.
Oh,
so that's out for a watch. I'll be watching that probably tonight or tomorrow. Maybe while I'm waiting for the podcast to convert. So Sony is making a Final Fantasy 15 Luna themed PS4, and no, it's not our Luna.
Oh,
should
be though.
Yeah, much better looking, right? Instead of just a giant moon on a PS4. And it will support the PS4 Pro at launch, so it's going to have all those enhanced textures, HDR support, all that good stuff. So for those of you who are saving up to get the PS4 Pro, your Final Fantasy 15 will support all the additional features of that. What do you think about that idea, Chille?
Actually, I'll be getting the Pro when it gets released, probably.
You're one of those, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that they didn't raise the price. They kept it at release price of the initial PS4, so that's kind of nice.
I like the look of it, so.
Yeah, it was a little bit thicker than the standard PS4, I believe, but...
Well, I was just saying I was going to get it launched, but I'm going to wait until January and have it sort of like as a birthday present for myself.
Okay, that works. Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age got a new trailer, so they showed off some of the enhancements from that. Actually looks pretty nice. There's a few improvements I wish that they could make to make the faces a little bit less flat. But some of the new things that they're going to be adding into it, they're updating the graphics a bit. They're adding the Zodiac job system like the International Zodiac game had. newly recorded soundtrack, trophy support, share functions, autosaves, and more. Not sure if that's something I'm going to be jumping at right away. I have such a backlog of other games to play, but they are going to be doing that. Any other Final Fantasy XII fans?
I'm waiting for the re-release to play it. Otherwise, I've never touched it.
Okay.
I know I'm bad.
Yeah, I've only played 9 and 10, and I haven't completed those, and 14.
Okay. Like I said, 12 I thought it was a good game. It took me a long time to actually finish it. I got to a point where I just kind of stopped, and then I never went back to it because of I just forgot. And then after I had back surgery, it was my goal to go through and finish it, so I finally did. And it wasn't a bad game. Like I said, it doesn't take the standard summons like what we have now, like with Ifrit and Shiva and Ramu and those guys. They use a different pantheon of gods that they go off of. That's where we get the Zodiarch and Famfrit and Belias and that group of gods that as espers. So slightly different than the normal Final Fantasy ones, but like I said, I thought it was a good game overall. Also, World of Final Fantasy got a trailer, and they showed off some footage of the Sephiroth summon in-game. If you have not watched that, click the link that I put into the notes. How can something so cute be so goddamn destructive?
I don't know.
It's called Lalafell.
You're not wrong.
Sephiroth became a Lalafell. Welcome to the Master Race.
But like I said, it's another game I do have on pre-order, because the chibi style of all the different characters that you can get. It's cute. It seems like an interesting little game. I'm curious to see how the gameplay is going to be. I'm sure Chille's got it on pre-order. He has everything Final Fantasy on pre-order. He's like me. Anybody else gonna give it a try?
Maybe.
I think I might.
Like I said,
I've got this cool little Final Fantasy 15 lanyard recently. It has all the little 8-bit characters.
Oh, you like Noctis and Prompto all in 8-bit style, 16-bit.
Yeah, I posted
sprites.
in our little lobby.
Yeah, because you get all the swag.
Actually came with a free copy of Hitman, so that was nice.
Chille's
I gave the Hitmans away.
Well, did you give that to Neil or no? He already owned it, didn't he?
Yeah,
because he's a huge Hitman fan. I know.
Oh yeah, he's a massive Hitman fan.
Yeah, he's as big of a Hitman fan as you are of Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So. Well, I don't mind it, but it was a PC version. I don't play PC, so.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, because you're a PS4 podcast or PlayStation podcast. Yeah. You can't do that, right?
I know. We can't play PC. So I've been playing my 3DS all week instead of my PS4. That's for certain.
Right on.
Don't tell about my Dragon Quest 7.
Anyway, that covers a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff, but they did also announce that Kingdom Hearts 2.8 was getting pushed back a month to January 2017. And another mobile game with loose ties, and I mean loose ties to Final Fantasy 15 was announced, called King's Knight: Wrath of the Dark Dragon. If you've ever heard of that King's Knight name before, I mean, it's been a long time. That game was first released by Square back in 1986, and it was brought over to the US in 1989 as a really odd kind of vertical RPG shoot-up kind of game. And yes, I mean all those things I said. It sounds weird, but it's a vertical scroller, and it's got RPG elements where you level up and stuff like that. And they brought that type of feel to a mobile game.
Huh.
Like I said,
Sounds amazing.
It's really weird, and I'm probably gonna try it. And the only reason
probably will too.
The only reason it has ties to Final Fantasy 15 is because they show a little bit at the end of the trailer showing the guys sitting around a table with their phones playing this game. So yeah.
So it's kind of meta.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the pinball game where it shows that we're playing
like
that.
Justice Monsters 5, yes.
which is rubbish.
It's not that bad. It could be worse.
It's not very good when you say it's not that bad, though. Yeah, that's not a good way to start it.
Mobile games can always be worse. There are a lot of bad mobile games. I mean, I got lucky, I guess, when I used my golden egg drops, and I got some pretty good characters to play as. So, and then they did announce that another mobile game, Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, is coming out with a JP version. I'm assuming an English version will be following after a few months. It's going to be basically all the Dissidia Final Fantasy characters in a mobile game. That one I'm looking forward to. A Dissidia game on my phone? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, it's more an RPG, isn't it, than actually a fighting game?
Regardless, I'd love to see what it comes out with. I can't read Japanese.
Is that the one with Vivi in it?
I probably has it in there.
Best character.
Though Vivi is there's also
Vivi's
Vivi in
the
like
best.
Record Keeper. There's Vivi in Brave Exvius. I don't know if there's a Vivi in Mobius at all, but
it should be in all the
Not so
things.
far. Not that I've encountered.
no, I think the only one they've shown would be there were a couple of Record Keeper things, and it was like Aerith and Tifa and a few others, but I haven't gotten that far into it.
He's the only character I have a statue of, and he sits on my shelf looking down.
Yeah, Emi and I were talking about that earlier. She was comparing one of her characters to Vivi. And I was talking about my pre-order when I first got Final Fantasy IX, how I've got my little Vivi plushie doll that came with that. So, yes, Vivi is awesome. Vivi is totes awesome. So that kind of covers what happened at TGS. A lot of stuff that we talked about there. Some interesting things, I thought. So, that kind of brings us into our discussion. So we're going to we had Remix and Emi tell us a little bit about themselves at the beginning. But you didn't get too much of what got you into role playing. So why don't you just kind of tell us, how did you guys get your start in role playing?
Oh boy. I mean, I was saying that I've role played many times in many fandoms, but you're taking me back like 20 years at this point. I can't tell you what really got me started with the idea of role playing.
Gosh, 20 years is like, I don't know, almost as much as I've been alive. Yeah, role playing, I guess I did do a little bit of role playing on Facebook, I believe. I do not remember how long ago it was, but it was sometime, I want to say during high school. And I had gotten really, really like hardcore into the world of Phoenix Wright, if anybody knows those, like the Ace Attorney series.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I roleplayed as Mia Fey on there for a while. And then things just kind of died off. I forget why I stopped. But it wasn't until Final Fantasy XIV came around, I guess, however many years later it was. And, yeah, I wanted to play with somebody else. And I knew there were people who roleplayed within the game, and I wanted to make a character. Didn't really have much of an idea, so I took an existing character and decided to try and see how well I could pull her off.
Okay.
And from there, yeah, I liked it, stuck with it.
Very cool.
Okay.
Ever do
Now
any,
I remember.
You ever do Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff?
I attempted to for like one session, but I never really caught on.
It's a totally different style of role play. But like I said, that's what a lot of people think of when they think of role playing, that type of role playing game. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Remix.
No, I just remembered it was Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
And I was probably role playing as Trunks because he was my favorite. This is when I was like, this was like on AOL chat.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
oh my
that
gosh.
was how I began. It all came back to me.
And suddenly the early 2000s are back.
You know, when AOL was not the internet, when it was like just AOL.
You've got mail.
You mean with the discs?
With
that
like
you
the
could get
dial-up
for, like-
sounds and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Oh my gosh.
you used to not be able to actually browse the entire internet with AOL. You would only browse like their networks and their sites. You couldn't go to a website.
Yeah, that was
No,
the
that's
thing.
yeah, that was the thing.
I never used it, thankfully. We used it as coasters, or we'd put it in the microwave and watch it go. Do you ever do that with the AOL CDs? Put it in the microwave for like 3 seconds and just watch it sparkle off? And
Never. I knew my parents had like so many of those in their office, and I remember like walking onto AOL when I was really young, but I didn't know how to use it. So it was like, okay, now I've connected. Now what?
Exactly. It wasn't the most intuitive, I thought, but it is what it is. Can't say that I've ever had anybody say that they role played DBZ, so that's interesting.
All right.
There's a first time for everything. Kind of already mentioned this, what games you got your start in RP, so obviously, this is like the first actual game that you've RP'd in. Seriously?
Your turn.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is the first game that I've actually been able to roleplay within the game.
Okay.
So I do still roleplay on, now it's moved on to Tumblr, but it's really neat to be able to interact and have like a visible character who's there, who you can make emote and type things out that way. Sort of real-time roleplay, as opposed to just plotting and making sure that your response is just right. It's a different type of roleplay in that respect. Okay. And it's really neat trying to learn that.
Well, I've never played an MMO before this one, but I've played almost every other Final Fantasy game, so my experience was definitely different. Like, I was always going to be in it for the story, no matter what. I was never going to be into it for raiding, because I didn't even really know what, like, raiding and dungeons were. All I knew is it was a Final Fantasy game I could play online with some friends of mine.
Okay. So out of curiosity, have either of you guys tried live-action role-playing or LARP?
Never. I've heard of it. I've seen roleplay, or I've seen LARPing groups just kind of out there doing their own thing, but I've never tried it myself.
Just curious.
Seems like an expensive hobby, and I already cosplay, so
cosplay is a big drain on the wallet.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a lot of people will kind of mix the two, and they'll try and role play as whatever they're cosplaying. Especially if they can find other people from like the game or the show or the universe that they're cosplaying in. Like when we were at Anime Detour this past spring, there was a lot of people that were cosplaying from the same game or the same show, and they would when they were around each other, they would basically end up role playing in that show. So it was kind of cool watching that interaction. So I was just curious if you guys have done that kind of stuff too.
I've never seen I have seen like people doing that. I've never done it myself, but it's really neat when I see people doing that, because in some sense it's a lot like improvising. It really is improvising. You have your character and you don't know what's going to come next. And so you just have to react as your character would.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, and then another follow-up question on that. I mean, have you experienced things like Renaissance fairs or festivals like of that nature?
No.
Oh my God. Okay.
You have?
You already know that I'm old. I've been going to conventions for probably 15 years, and I have a wall of convention badges. So I've been to Ren fairs, cosplay. I guess in the last several years, my big thing has been steampunk.
Okay. Like I said, when we were talking before the show, I said that my experience with like in-game role playing was kind of limited. But I'm thinking of all these different things, and I think about it going to a Renaissance festival. There's a lot of role play involved with that. Even doing your school plays. That's the basic role playing right there. All the D&D sessions we used to do as kids, or in college in my case, stuff like that. It's. People, when they think about role playing, they kind of get that mindset of it's these specific types of things, but they don't realize that it's a really big area that encompasses a lot of different types of role play. So, sorry, go ahead.
Even within FF14, there's different formats. There's the more creative writing style where you think out responses as if you're writing a novel. And there's in-game where it's more like chat format, or there's something in between, like maybe you're not in game, but you're on Skype with your friends and your roleplay groups, and you just have in-character chat.
Very cool. So, tell us a little bit about the muses that inspire you guys when you roleplay.
Emi goes first.
All right, I've got two big ones. Of course, the first one is the one that the people in the stream can see right now. It's Nanamo Unamo from this game. Nanamo, I'm assuming a lot of people listening are aware of who Nanamo is. Maybe they aren't, but she's the Sultana.
Well, they better be.
They better be. I don't know who's watching this or who's listening to this.
True.
So,
it's not just the people that are watching live. We do actually do podcasts as well, so this is for all the podcast people too.
Yeah, this is for all the listeners as well. I don't know who's going to end up listening to this, but she is the Sultana of Ul'dah, and the thing that really inspired her, inspired me to adopt her as my muse is we share a good amount of similarities, I think. She has a couple of flaws that I think not a lot of people end up seeing. But she is very prone to take responsibility for things that are not necessarily her fault. And the other thing that I really like about her is how persistent she is. She is very set on helping make Ul'dah a better place for everybody, maybe not necessarily in terms of the monetarist, but in terms of the greater good. And I really, really like that about her. And the challenge that kind of came up with her was adopting her speaking style. It's very, very formal. She uses a lot of poetic language. And so it was very fun to learn about that. The other muse that I have is an original character, and his name is Scoot Patoot, and he is the character that I primarily play as. He is a minimum height Lalafell paladin, very, very young. He's maybe 10 years old, and he's set on becoming the biggest, baddest tank and protecting Eorzea, protecting people who cannot defend themselves. Very charismatic, energetic, and very sweet. I love him to bits.
Awesome. Remix?
He's very lovable. So as for me, the character that you can see me in this stream is Admiral Mrovib Bluefistwind. And if you can't pronounce her, it took me a little bit of a practice to get her name correct, but because it's like the Vergadinese language is a little picky. But like I was saying, when I saw Emi's call to have people join up the Sultansworn FC, there was almost like a muse poking around in my head before. So before I had started really considering doing roleplay, I definitely always had an imagination about characters. And it got to the point where I would have the characters in the game, almost like I would imagine stories in my head. And most of the stories involved the members of the Eorzean Alliance sitting around the table talking about dumb stuff.
Well, we've sort of adopted this into how we portray the characters, I think.
Yeah, like 1 second they'll be talking about really important matters of state and government, and the next second they'll be like just arguing or bantering or like arguing about like what to order in for their meeting.
Just making jokes about the others.
Yeah, almost like bratty siblings.
That sounds interesting.
It's an Eorzean Alliance family.
So, but Mrovib was always the most interesting and charismatic, and I guess the one I connected to when I started thinking about these stories. So, she was the one that stood out to me when I said, like what NPC could I play as from this list? And I also feel like I share some similarities with her, but also that she's an aspirational character to me. She's cooler than I am. And I most aspire to be the person who like doesn't give a crap about what anybody else thinks of her. There's many instances in the story I could cite where Mrovib like completely fails to give a shit. and just kind of does her own thing, sometimes for better or for worse. But I think that's something that we can all, a lot of us grow up feeling insecure and geeky and not as confident. So that's something that I admire. And it's funny because I really I love Nanamo a lot as a character too, and I really agree with what Emi said about her persistence and her tenacity. And I admire her a ton, but I don't think that I could roleplay her because I think her manner of speaking is difficult to write. Whereas like being Rovib is very easy and fun to me. Like I love to explore, especially the parts of her personality that go beyond like being the admiral, you know, because being the admiral is like her job. It's something she does, you know, for most of the day. But what kind of person is she when the doors are closed and she's just like among friends, almost like? And I really do consider that she thinks of the Eorzean Alliance as like her best friends. You know, so like who is the real Rovib? Like who is not just the admiral? You know, like what's behind her? And of course, it ends up usually being very like confident, goofy, and of course, you know, pretty drunk.
No
so
way.
I mean that's just lots of fun. You know, like just kind of almost like letting loose more than I would normally, and just kind of being confident, sometimes a little bit even conceited.
Okay.
And almost like overconfident and boisterous, and you know, definitely the life of the party. Other than that, I've really been trying to RP more with my main character in Gilgamesh, and his name is Natsuki McCatboy. And you're going to think that's the silliest name ever. So when I started the game, I really had no intention of role-playing. And I knew I wanted to play male Makode, but I couldn't think of a surname. And I didn't know about the naming conventions, the lore specific ones at that point. So I was just like, I need a surname for my character, McCatboy. Yeah, sure, that sounds fine. For the longest time, I thought, like, I'll never be able to RP with him because that's such a silly name. But I saw people on Tumblr basically use a workaround, which was that whatever they named their character in game was that person's adventurer name, quote unquote. And to be lore compliant, you could say, oh, well, they were born as such and such. That matches their race and clan naming convention, but their adventurer name is like whatever you want them to be. So he's another character that I've been trying to flesh out, and he's also some ways similar to me, some ways different. But he's way different than Rovib. He's actually more of a people pleaser, I guess you would say. He's a very friendly, like will do anything for his friends kind of person. Very helpful, and almost to a fault. Like, for example, he's a master crafter, and he will end up crafting, like working to do crafting favors for people like long into the night because he can't say no to people. And then, I mean, there's some others that I want to work on. But, you know, I feel like I'm gonna go on and on. Like I've been thinking about also kind of as like a side project, what will Eorzea be like in like 15-20 years? And
Make Uldala Republic.
yeah. It started around the idea of Uldala as a republic, and then fleshing out that, and then now Ishgard is a republic now. Spoilers, sorry. And like, what's that going to be like? So I'm thinking about like almost like another like side universe, which is like in the future. But that's hard to roleplay because you would need everyone else to be in the future too. But I just kind of let my imagination run wild, and I have so many like work in progress things, like drafts. It's not even funny.
That's a great thing about something like this is you can do so many things with it. It's none of it is, you know, set in stone. It's all how you want to interpret it, how you feel this particular character would handle the situation. So make it you, right?
For sure.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So, what's some of your most memorable role plays that you've been involved in? And either one of you can start.
Most memorable for me would be something that probably seems really, really pretty mundane. And that is, you know, the quest where when you get eternally bonded, you have to go on this journey across Eorzea to pray before each of the marks of the different 12 deities.
Yep.
Yeah, well, my most memorable story would have to be during that. With Scoot, he discovered somebody outside of a dungeon who wanted to know if he needed help. And when he met this person, of course, he said, "No, I don't need any help, but if you need any help, then I will help you." Well, this dungeon run turned out terribly because at the time I didn't know how to play the game. I was tanking Desmel Darkhold in healing gear.
Uh-oh.
It did not...
Oh my.
Yeah, people tried to kick me, but this person who ended up becoming my best friend in real life, and the character's name is Alalalalot May. Scoot ended up just calling her Allie. But yeah, eventually we became closer, our characters became closer as well, and we decided that it would be kind of neat to get the two of them eternally bonded. So on this journey, they just had a whole lot of fun together, but at the same time, Allie learned a lot about Scoot's insecurities and his fears, and just the amount of character development that happened with Scoot over the course of that journey, and the amount of, well, how close the two of them got really made it memorable for me. It was something that wasn't really a huge, enormous thing in my character's life, but it was a time when the two of them could be really, really vulnerable and really honest with each other. And that was what made it just such a memorable time for me.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Remix?
Jeez, I'm having trouble. I don't know. I like the times. Well, I haven't role played too much other than Merovib so far. So I'm trying to think of the most fun moment with her. And all I can think of is a couple of little things that we had in our Aerosine Alliance chat room.
Like what?
I don't know. This, like, remember when we had the Valentine's Day quest?
Oh yeah.
And then like Nanamo and Merovib started teasing each other.
Yeah. We were trying to get Merva was trying to get Nanamo and Raubon together, and Nanamo was teasing Mervib about Mervib and Einzar getting together. And there was one point where Mervib ended up dressing up as a fortune teller, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And trying to tell Nanamo's fortune, and just really, really pushing at, you and Raubon should get together. You and Raubon should get together.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
She just wants her friends to be happy, okay? There was actually another Tumblr conversation I had with our friend of ours who's role-playing Raubon. So when I first started my Merovib alt, I, of course, started in Limsa, and that was actually the first character I'd had that started in Limsa. So I guess when you do the Envoy quest, when you first go to the other cities, the dialogue can be slightly different based on your starting city. So, of course, I'm playing this Merovib clone, and when you go to Ul'dah and give this letter from, like, the real Merovib, Raubon says to you something like, "Oh, an envoy from Limsa. I thought I smelled stale ale." I was like, "Damn, son, that's harsh."
All those stereotypes.
and then I posted this screenshot on Tumblr with, like, a reply, something like, "At least I don't smell like corruption." and then this friend of mine, like, replied in characters, and then, like, some Merovib and Raubon ended up having, like, a really long stupid argument. like an insult war.
Lovely.
That the conclusion of which was that Raubon has really shitty taste in alcohol, and now that's like our collective headcanon.
You're probably not wrong on that, but you never know. Maybe his taste has gotten better over the years. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The whole thing was that, like, if you grow up without a lot of money, you're gonna end up drinking like shitty, like, piss water beer. And especially in Ul'dah, I feel like the cheap beer there is going to be like the PBR. It's going to be watered down because someone's trying to save money, whereas, like, the cheap beer in Limsa is actually the strongest, like, most, like, gasoline tasting shit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
This is the depth on which I think about
I'm kind of thinking in Ul'dah there is no in between. There's either like really, really fine wine and everything, or there's really, really bad, just beer, watered down, tastes awful.
Yeah, and the funniest part was that Rabon thought it would like insult Moab to say like, God, you drink that stuff. It tastes like lighter fluid, and I'm like, excuse you, you have shitty taste. You don't know that this is a fine Scotch that's 300 years old. Anyway, I don't know. That's what came to mind for me because it was like random and just like spontaneously breaking into character.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, you can get the really crazy stuff happening like that just at odd times when you're not even expecting it.
That's one of the beautiful things about roleplay. I mean, you have to think on your feet and just roll with the punches sometimes.
Yeah, I guess I should say that we still are looking for someone consistently to roleplay Kane with us.
That's true. Yeah, we need a Kane.
So if any of you are out there that want to join in on these shenanigans.
Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of thinking, just random thought, another really memorable moment for me was trying to work in some of my system's limitations in the game into my in-game roleplay. I was playing at one point at 7 frames per second. Like, I kid you not, I was playing Final Fantasy XIV on a really bad laptop, 7 frames per second, and a lot of the time, my graphics driver would crash, and the screen would go completely black. And so this is one of the things that made the Eternal Bond quest really memorable, is my screen went black so many times then. And I worked it in where my character would experience like these random periods of blindness where he couldn't see where he was going, he couldn't see anything around him, and we didn't know why.
Oh, that's crazy.
But it's really cool to kind of adapt, and it's not fun to have those system limitations that are terrible, which is why I'm glad my computer is a lot better now. But it was interesting to work with.
That's cool. So, now that you've kind of told us about your role-playing histories, what got you interested in actually making a podcast to talk about role-playing?
I think Remix would best answer this question.
Yes, it was my idea. So after like the events of 2.55 in the story, which we all know about, I really experienced a change. I went from kind of someone who was really ambivalent about the story and ambivalent about the characters to someone who really cared deeply about it. And maybe it took like a really traumatic experience to show me that I really cared about these people, because like I said, when I first started the game, I expected a Final Fantasy game. That's what I wanted. I wanted a good story. And I feel like I didn't quite get it at first. The whole 2.0 thing where like, you're just kind of doing favors from Infilia didn't really connect with me. Like in previous games, you would actually go around as a party with the other characters, and you don't have that here. So I feel like I was actually quite disappointed for a while that I wasn't connecting with the story, and I wasn't a cutscene skipper, but I would rush through things. And finally, like I guess I had like a really an emotional moment, and that kind of changed for me. So I became, along with that, a huge lore monger.
Okay.
Sounds like Sarah.
Yeah, you probably get along very well in that case.
So in listening to a lot of the lore commentary out there, and then later getting into role-playing, I started to notice differences in the way that role players would talk about lore, because it's something that's really important to us. Of course, this is the universe which we play in. We have to know as much of the facts about it as we can, because it's a shared universe with everybody else. I just felt like the way people like Ethis Asher or like Anon Moose talk about lore is not bad. It's great stuff, and I'm huge fans. But it's different than the way like the average role player on Tumblr would talk about lore. And I think the difference is that role players want to connect emotionally with characters, with both their own characters and characters in the game. Whereas a lot of the lore that's out there is more like history lessons. It's very objective, and it doesn't have emotions in it. And I was wondering if we could create something that would bridge that gap almost. Like talk about lore, but talk about it from a role player's perspective. Of course, we want to talk about role play itself, the activity, And it also was kind of striking to me about how there was almost like a silo in between our peers and non-our peers. And of course, there are all these unfortunate negative and pretty much untrue stereotypes about what RP is in the fandom. And, it's almost like, our peers were like the nerds among the nerds. Like they were like the outcasts. They were always being made fun of. People were just like her. Like you just want to ERP like cat girl, Lalafell, smut. And that's really unfortunate because I feel like what the RP community creates is so rich and so interesting and creative, and it really just irks me that people would just dismiss it like that.
So you end up using it as a way to not only talk about this activity you really enjoy, but to also kind of educate?
Yeah, I wanted to give the RP community a voice in this sort of like media creation space. Okay. Everyone, has got blogs and more written content, but when it comes to streamers, podcasters, I didn't see anything even like remotely related to RP. And even lore, there's not that much. Even like Gamer Escape, who are some of like the biggest lore mongers, their podcast doesn't focus exclusively on it. And we're different, we're doing RP and lore, and we actually don't cover game news at all,
Okay.
And whereas, there's already plenty of great podcasts like yours out there, like covering game session, covering game news. Like there really doesn't need to be any more. And like people don't need to come to us for like Tokyo Game Show news. Like we're never really going to talk about stuff like that unless it's relevant to RP, and the only time that has happened is when they announced the new RP status for 3.4. So I guess I wanted to do something different, and like I was saying, in I guess what you would call mainstream lore commentary.
Okay.
It was always kind of odd to me how it was like history lessons, and people were not connecting with characters on an emotional level. It's almost like they weren't interested in what characters' thoughts and motivations were, and that's something that as role players we're naturally very conservative, especially I guess those of us who are RPing NPCs. And for example, like I watch a lot of Asher's videos, and he recently did a couple on Limsa Lominsa and about the Hullbreaker hard mode dungeon, and I thought that was really cool because we actually did a couple of episodes on Limsa Lominsa. Obviously, I'm the MOVA role player. I'm very, I'm very interested in that stuff, and I was comparing basically what he had said and what we had said, and there's 2 points in 2 different videos where he speculates about the alliance basically between Rovab, and when she was becoming admiral, and how she got Mistbeard the pirate on her side. He was basically the king of the pirates, and like basically them having an alliance would have been key to sort of like consolidating her power as admiral. And he says things like, she would have had to convince him that this was best for people, like because they had to reduce piracy. Obviously, there's the calamity, and like a lot of like, I guess you would say like factual information, almost like a news commentator, and all I kept thinking in the back of my head is like, Ethis, you're forgetting a really important fact. Rovab and Einzar are probably romantically involved. And like there's evidence of this, like that we talk about. It's like, yeah, you can talk all day about like the strategic decisions of like making a political alliance. And I was like, okay, but yeah, they're also probably boning. That's important. That's important, And it's like, why don't you want to talk about it? It's right there.
Okay.
And I guess that's the kind of thing we wanted to add. We wanted to add those personal touches. They're sort of almost like I guess you could say like emotional, sometimes not always romantic, but just like emotional, like touchy-feely stuff, like thinking about what characters are thinking, what motivates them. And I don't want to be that person, but to be honest, sometimes I wonder if it's because most of these lore commenters are male, and role players, for some reason, are overwhelmingly female. Not all, but a great majority. And I wonder if this, whether it's natural or not, or just the way we're socialized, women tend to read emotions better.
Emotional versus logical kind of division.
Yeah, and I wonder if one of the reasons that we see things differently is because we're female and we have more like training in dealing with emotions and touchy-feely stuff that's really important to roleplay. And maybe, you know, just getting the sort of like diversity in voices, we can add a lot to the lore commentary.
Well, let's just say, you know, like I said, there's a good amount of people who, you know, on both sides who, you know, either role play or, you know, really get into the lore. They analyze, you know, all the nuances of this and that. And it just depends on what side of the brain you're really wired with. So trying to keep it away from being gender stereotypical, even though there does seem to be a slight bias one way or the other. I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, so I'm listening to all this lore commentary. I'm kind of observing these differences. I'm observing how nobody's talking about RP, except for like the occasional stupid joke, you know, so it's almost like the roleplay community doesn't have a voice. You know, our sort of way of looking at lore doesn't have a voice. And I do not want to start any beef on your channel, but there were specific people out there that said specific things on their shows that really got me angry. And made me think like the mainstream like podcast community or like media community like actually doesn't give a shit about characters. You know, they would do things like mispronounce characters and names, get characters' names wrong, mix up two characters, or you know, even if they try to get into character commentary, you know, they're saying things that are just wrong or show a lot of bias. And unfortunately, there's especially like comments that they have to be misogynistic, like treating female characters unfairly, holding them to different standards. And it got to the point where I was getting really angry at these people, and all these things together just made me think like I gotta make my, you know, my own thing or our own thing. you
wanted to get your voice heard, get your opinion out there, and try and set the record straight.
Yeah, just because I just kept thinking there's something missing out there. There's something that we can add. There is a point of view that is not being heard in the media community, like the community on Tumblr and in roleplay free companies is very, very strong, but it's almost like those people are siloed. You know, they're doing their own thing in their own little corner. And, you know, the rest of the player base, the rest of the, you know, let's say media communities, which includes streamers, podcasters, and creators of videos, you know, those people almost, you know, roleplay is a huge part of the player base. I mean, Balmung, which is, you know, the quote-unquote RP server, is the largest server in the game. So I wonder sometimes, like, how many in percentage of the player base are RPers, you know? It's probably surprisingly high, you know? So there's no reason why we should be siloed. We're all just one big happy family. It's just some of us have this extra layer of enhancement and fun and creativity on top of our game experience.
Yep.
And Luna, you said that it actually helped to kind of save the game for you, didn't it?
It actually very much did. I mean, we've had a lull point. Like a lot of people, Klauss included, all went off kind of. I hardly ever see anyone on from my old FC or anyone I used to hang out with. But since forming Rural Hyperion and Luna's Lounge, it's pretty much saved the game for me. I'm on every single day, talking to people, having fun, that interaction. It's restarted the game for me, basically.
So, I mean, for those people who are really having an issue with trying to find a reason to get onto this game, you know, maybe you can look into it. So, how can people who would be interested find you guys?
Sure. We have everything you might need to know about MuseCast on MuseCastXIV.com. That's our username, also on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Twitch. You can find our podcast, which releases bi-weekly, on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. And there's also different ways if you can follow us and subscribe. Just head to the website, click on the subscribe button. You know, pretty much any platform you're on, there's an easy way to listen.
That's true. Yeah, we have a lot of different social media outlets and listening outlets too.
Yep. We're also, of course, on Tumblr. If you go to MuseCastXIV.com, you'll be able to use your Tumblr account to comment, give us a follow, any of that. I think we're most active on Twitter, so I would say anytime you want to get in touch with us, give us a follow or a message or a mention on Twitter, MuseCastXIV.
Yeah, that's actually how I found you guys over Twitter, and when I did, like I told you guys before, but I don't know if I told this podcast how it happened. It was just right as I started Hyperion's role-playing community that I found you guys, and oh my god, it was like, yes, I'm not alone. Yes.
Oh, yes. You're not alone. And I also hope that going forward, RP status may actually give us more support officially from Square Enix. Like, the reason I was so excited about this is not only because I can find other role players, it's like Square Enix is like, we see you and we love you.
Senpai has noticed.
Yeah.
I actually was introduced to you guys when you guys did the interview with Pete on She Heals, I Tank. So
Yep.
So that was awesome listening to you guys. And it's like, Luna's starting to do something like this. So I wonder, we should maybe do a collabo on that. And I'm glad you guys decided to do that. So thank you again. Thanks for answering our questions on that. And we're not done yet, folks. So stick around. We're going to do a very brief How Do I segment. Luna, we're going to let you take this one over.
Sure. So you guys, if you are interested in role-playing at all, listen up. We're going to give you some very helpful tips on how to get started. Basically, role-playing. I've had people message me asking, what's role-playing? What is it? It's basically you acting out a character. You're an actor acting out a character. Whether that character is an original character or if it's already a character in the universe, you're acting out a character. That's basically what role-playing is.
Yeah. Can I add that how I would define role play to other people, or like, okay, we're playing an RPG, so like I have an avatar, but how do I know the difference between that and role playing? It starts when the character you're playing is different than you, the person. You have to actually think of them as separate people, and that's
an
when
important thing.
Yeah, that's when you sort of crossed over.
Yep, it's separating yourself from role play and giving your character, not you exactly, but your character a voice. Trail of thought gone. Goodbye. Anyways,
we can pick up. We can save you.
You can save it. All right. But with role playing, there's actually a lot of role playing terms that people, I don't actually see them use all that often, but they are there, and they're terms that a lot of veteran role players use as well. Basically, if you hear someone say my muse or use the term muse, they're usually referring to their character that they're playing or their character that they're acting out. That is their muse. Like right now, if you're watching the stream, Luna Vox is my muse. Such as Nanamo is Emi's muse and Merlweb is Remix's muse.
Yeah, and I guess when you're playing an MMO, that can be an important distinction because you can say character too, but it may not be clear that you're role-playing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Muse is more oriented towards the roleplay and helps people determine roleplay, not roleplay. But on the opposite end, is it Moon or Mun? Probably
we
Mun.
Say Mun. I like Mun.
Yeah. Mun, that's referring to your real life self. So
yeah, it's the mundane.
Yep, the mundane. So basically, oh gosh, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but me, Sam, now you all know my real name. Congratulations.
Yes.
Me, Sam, versus me, Luna Vox. So that Mun Sam, Muse Luna Vox. Some abbreviations, IRL, in real life. And then if you want to talk out of your character, usually I see people do brackets and type OOC, which means out of character.
You can also say IC, which is in character.
Yep, that too. Now you're probably thinking, I know these terms. How the heck do I get started? It takes some planning. if you're thinking of an original character, but then again, it's also takes some planning if you're playing a character already in universe. Basically think what you want to get out of roleplay. Do you want to have the adventure of roleplay, the romance, the action? And then once you determine what you want out of roleplay, start building your backstory up from that. Another good thing to keep in mind is whatever universe you're role-playing in, not just Final Fantasy, but any universe you're playing in, try to keep your character canon to that universe. Basically, think about the lore of the universe you're in, the limitations, basically opposite of limitations if you have any limitations at all. And then also another big thing is think about your alignment. Are you lawful good? Are you chaotic evil? Are you neutral? Think about that and work your backstory up from there.
Maybe you're just batshit crazy.
Yeah, maybe you're just batshit crazy.
Chaotic evil.
The cool thing about this phase I found is that you can make like a really, really bare bones character where you can give them like only a little bit of backstory and develop them as you go.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, really helpful to have at least some sort of a backstory present so that you can get into your first interactions and at least have some form of a personality and really work on that separation in some senses between the Muse and the Mun.
Yep, definitely. Get an idea of where you've been and then go where you're going to go, basically. The last thing, which is the biggest thing that I've worked my ass off to make happen, is find like-minded other people who are into role-playing, who you can talk to and then role-play with. Because role-playing by yourself is...
How do you do it?
That's just fan fiction, really.
Yeah, really. But yeah, find other people who are like-minded. And two things that I stress very, 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 very strongly in the community, or Hyperion's community, I basically have two rules: consent and respect. If you don't know what those mean, well, lucky for you, I'm here to explain what it means.
Huzzah!
Basically, don't just walk up to someone and then just start randomly acting out this big whimsical role play, because if you do that, one, you're going to overwhelm the person and it's going to turn them off to role playing with you. Two, it doesn't show respect for that person. Just talk to people, talk to them out of character, saying, "Hey, I'm interested in role playing. Would you like to role play with me?" I know it's very intimidating. Some people are very shy. I understand that. I used to be like that too before roleplay, before podcasting. And sometimes you just have to swallow that down. Mm-hmm. And if you want something, you got to go for it. Granted, that can be like...
It can be tough. It's intimidating.
It can. People are intimidating. But sometimes you also have to think that they're people too. And they're intimidated just as much as you are.
It gets easier with practice.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It
really does. And like I said, respect is another thing. If a person tells you that something you're doing in a roleplay makes them uncomfortable, stop. Talk to them. Figure out if they want to try a different approach or if you just want to stop roleplaying altogether. Because basically, we go back to this every single time whenever we're saying how to get along in the community. Just talk to people. Talk about what you want. Be honest with what you want. And respect that.
It comes down to the same type of stuff. I mean, if you want to get a good raid group, respect the people you're with. Know the roles and the expectations of what's in that. If you want to find a good free company, same thing.
Yeah.
It's a really broken record, but you know what? It's fucking important. Come on. So it's all about that respect.
It really is. Consent and respect. Two biggest things. And if someone says they're making you uncomfortable, or hell, this goes both ways. If someone else is making you uncomfortable, you have to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Do tell them.
Mm-hmm. Do tell, because you're not helping anyone. And
I failed my mind reading classes.
I know. Me too.
I tried. I really did.
It's a hard class to pass.
Yep. Especially when it's correspondence.
Oh yeah. You don't get like any of that spoken intonation kind of context.
Nope. Yeah, trying to pass a correspondence mind reading course is really tough, let me tell you. So, best tips now, Luna. What kind of tips can you give for the new person? And even Remix and Emi, please. Any tips for people who want to get into role playing that we haven't mentioned?
I have to say that our first episode for the podcast we ever did is Intro to FF14 Roleplay, and it's about an hour and a half long. So that's a really detailed intro into how to get started.
Okay, so you're saying the best tip is to go listen to MuseCastXIV.
I mean,
that sounds like a good plan to me.
The funny thing is, whenever I have a new role player come into the community, I automatically say, go listen to MuseCast episode 1 right now.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Confirmed.
Okay.
We can abbreviate though.
Yeah. I always think about how to get started is to write a lot. If you're still feeling intimidated about going out there, but you feel a creative muse, you feel a muse, a character spark up in your head, just like I did. Start writing down the backstory, and there's a lot of almost like questionnaires you can do out there that help you flesh out your character and different points of backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still feel like you don't want to interact with people, like start up a Tumblr or go to highlandroleplayers.com and start browsing what other people are doing and try to follow their example. There's plenty of ways to just get started with people. There's all these different mechanisms that are almost like a call for someone else to say like, hey, I want you to roleplay with me. So that makes it pretty easy. But if you're not ready to start yourself, to read what other people are doing. Go on those sites and, get an idea for how the community is run. And I think jump in when you're ready.
Yeah, I agree. I just using other different forms of media does help a lot. And sometimes you stumble across people who play on your server, especially if you want a role-playing game. Tumblr is a great way to try and find people who role-play on your server. And if you are interested in role-playing on your server, you can either, if you're in a role-play link shell, just say, hey, would anybody like to role-play? Just kind of get out there, be brave, and talk to people in your FC. Ask if anybody's interested. Because you never know. Some people are just hiding and would be interested in role-playing, but they don't know that people are out there.
I've read people put calls out on Party Finder, say I'm looking for roleplay partners.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So granted, we've seen other types of role-playing go out there too, but, like I said, it's still, people looking for some sort of form of entertainment. And a lot of times we are all consenting adults. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with a well-done, adult-themed roleplay. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I mean, if you put up a Party Finder, you might get lots of trolls just trying to make fun of you for ERP, even though you didn't say that in your post, but ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip.
Yeah.
And now that we are going to get the in-game RP status, hopefully this becomes a lot easier for people.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I just actually had to do a purge last night of our LS of inactive players, and if you're listening and you want to come back, you can, but I hope this brings more role players out and I get to meet more people and make more friends, and that makes me super excited because just starting this community, I have met so many amazing and wonderful and creative and talented and intelligent people. Granted, I've also met some crazy ass motherfuckers, but that's besides the point.
One of them sat here right next to you. Hello.
Yeah, you know what? I knew you before the role play. But just people that I find that people that role play or do some type of role play, not even generally Final Fantasy role play, any kind of role play or creative writing or anything like that, I'm drawn to them more, it seems, because we share that creative outlet, and it's amazing, pretty much. I can't think of a better word to describe it, but I actually did have another tip of if basically, and yeah, what were we talking about? I have another tip, basically.
Okay.
I guess the last tip that I always like to tell people is if no matter what server you're on, you can roleplay. I think that there can be an RP community on a server of any size. Either you have to find it or you have to start it. Like, there's no excuses. It really makes me sad when I hear people say, yeah, I want to get into RP, but I can't transfer to Balmung. And I'm like, why do you got to be on Balmung?
I agree. Yeah, we had an event recently on Lich, and to be honest, I wasn't sure how many people would come out because it was a murder mystery night, and a lot of this does involve in-character questioning, and we weren't sure who was going to show up, but there were so many people, much more than we thought would come out. They did. And on top of that, we've had more roleplay events happening on the server since, and a humongous link shell that I wouldn't have known about otherwise, which is, you know, maybe 100 or so people who just wanted to roleplay. But Lich isn't really known as a server for roleplay. It's no Balmung.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the same exact way it was here on a Hyperion before, and the first month of being public about it and having people like actually openly role play, I saw like 6 or 7 role playing FCs pop up, and luckily I reached out to them and told them about the link shell, and some of them are my best friends now. So it's cool, man. It's cool.
Miracles can happen.
The miracle of roleplay.
Yeah, and if in the meantime, while you're looking to get something going on your server, go on Tumblr or go on Heidelin Roleplayers and do some offline roleplay.
Yeah, good way to practice, right?
For sure, or just supplement. I mean, do both.
Yep. And really, if you really don't think you can fit it into your Final Fantasy game experience, like I said, roleplay isn't limited to just MMOs. There's all different types of ways that you can get involved with it, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons with friends at, and beer at all sitting at the same table, or if it's going to a Renfest or whatever. Just look for it and have some fun.
Yeah, the cool thing that I kind of want to add on to that is, even if you don't have people to play with in real life, I actually played some Dungeons and Dragons before, but they have a bunch of online communities that you can literally just sit at home and voice chat with people and play D&D with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it is awesome.
Yeah, online D&D tabletop style is becoming a thing as well. But I still will always treasure the days when we'd sit around the table and we'd joke with each other about, not having enough Mountain Dew, or we'd run out of Doritos or whatever. The table talk,
Yeah.
The table talk.
One day I'll get to play that. One
day. But my final tip that I kind of wanted to give for people who want or who are looking into getting roleplay, this is a big if you have the community that you live in and the money and the means to do it, if you can find improv classes and take them, I highly recommend doing it. Highly.
Yeah, improving those improvisational skills. I can talk. It's definitely helpful in not just in role playing, but in a lot of situations in life as well. It helps you think on your feet. Creative thinking, creative writing, also really important skills to have. So it's all really helpful.
I mean, one thing that improv or kind of fast-paced role-playing game where you can't delay, it makes you not second-guess yourself so much, not be so self-conscious. because you can't keep someone on the other end waiting forever to think about a response the way you can if you're doing more of like a novel style Tumblr, which is fine too. Which is it lets you get more into actually more of a literary and sometimes more serious. But essentially when you're role playing in game, your characters are having a real life conversation, and in real life conversation, most people don't sit there and think about, oh my God, am I going to craft the perfect response? It lets you let go of that perfectionism for a little bit and just say the first thing that comes to your mind,
Yep. Just like our discussions here. I mean, we have a lot of what we talked about today written down in our show notes, but the majority of this has just been off the cuff and in response to what we've been discussing. So, I mean, just being able to have that witty banter back and forth, it's a really great skill to have too.
Yeah, definitely.
So
speaking of which, we should probably.
Yes, I was just gonna say thank you so much for going over that, Luna, and thank you again to Remix and Emi for joining us today. We really appreciate it, helping to get the word out about role playing and educating people a little bit about it and how it's working here in the Final Fantasy community. So thank you again.
It's been our pleasure.
I had a blast. I really did, and I hope everybody listening live and on the podcast really enjoyed that. If you want to hear more stuff like that, feel free to let us know, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com, or you can always leave us a message on our Facebook site, our website, phoenixdownradio.com, all that good stuff. Check us out on Twitter @PHXDNRadio, any of the social media sites where we're at. Let us know the types of things you want to see. Or hear about, and we'll definitely look into that. Ladies, do you have any shout outs that you would like to throw out?
I guess shout outs to any of my friends who might happen to be listening to this.
And I hope they're all listening.
I hope so. And what else? I would say shout out to Remix, except Remix is here.
Aw, I got your shout out. Shout out to Emi.
Yay!
Chille does it too, so don't feel bad. You can go ahead and do that. It's a thing.
Well, shout out to Phoenix Down Radio.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, since you found us through She Heals I Tank, another great podcast, shout out.
Yeah, let's shout out to them too.
Absolutely. And actually, they were going to be one of my shout outs as well. I wanted to give them that shout out because they actually gave us another shout out because you guys were joining us this week. So thank you to Pete and Avi for mentioning that we were going to have Remix and Emi joining us this week. So if you guys are listening because of that, thank you so much, and thank you. Go check them out at She Heals I Tank on Twitter, or I believe it's veganpete.com is where his podcast is at, or just Google for She Heals I Tank. It's out on Stitcher and iTunes, all that good stuff. Another good podcast. Speaking of other good podcasts, this one was kind of an interesting one that we came up with, right, Luna?
Oh, yeah.
Throwing a big shout out to Rubicon and Yelta from Gather Together. For those of you who may not be familiar with them, they are a really awesome duo that podcast Gather Together. GTFFXIV.com. They threw out they were talking about all the different interviews that were going on within the game. And then at the end, they mentioned us with our interview that we had with Aya and Shannon in our last episode and how much they really enjoyed that. So thank you so much for that. Though earlier in the episode, they kind of gave us they threw down the gauntlet at us a bit. Sounds like they want to have a West Side Story style fight. So we're going to have a battle of the blades between Hyperion and Excalibur. So Luna, I hope you're good with choreography.
I'm working on it. I can snap.
Can you snap and step at the same time?
I can.
We'll
talk about it.
Maybe we're gonna have to recruit Chille and Emi and Remix on our team.
All right.
Sounds good.
We've got cookies.
You hear that, Ruby? We're coming for you.
Yep, we're gonna beat your tacos down. But yes, you guys can have buttons. It's all started because they wanted buttons, so we'll let them have a button. So thank you so much for that shout out, guys. Anybody else have any shout outs they want to throw out?
A couple.
Go ahead, Chille.
Luna wants to go first.
Or whoever.
Well, I'd like to, of course, shout out to the Sultan Sworn Free Company of Lich.
Oh yeah, Sultan Sworn, and also Starry Nights.
Yes.
And Gilgamesh.
And also the Circle of Knowing Free Company on Balmung, where I managed to get a character through server transfer.
Yay!
And basically everybody that follows me on Tumblr, on my Morova blog, which
hello all followers on my Nanimo blog. For that
yeah, which I want to update more, but real life stuff and like the podcasting has actually sadly taken away from my time for role playing, but I'm trying to balance it out more.
All right, who's next?
I guess I can go next. I want to give a big shout out to everyone in Luna's Lounge and Rural Hyperion. You guys are crazy, but I love every single one of you, and I'm glad you are here. Big shout out to MuseCast for being on here. Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate it.
Aww.
Yes, thank you again.
And I'm super looking forward to meeting you guys at FanFest. Other than that, big shout out to everyone listening live right now. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, we love you.
Absolutely. Chille.
I want to shout out to, what's that podcast I listen to every so often? Phoenix Down Radio. Thank you for having me on as a guest again.
You're more than a guest now, Chille. You're kind of you're like a guest host for a while.
Yeah, that is true, but still, thank you for at least giving me the position of being a guest host for now. And I want to do a quick shout out to the Tasty Peach Studios Kickstarter that's going on. Yeah, the Melchi plushies, they look adorable. So they're at $67,000, which is ridiculous.
Wow,
very nice.
Whoa.
It's a nice pickup from when they had their one truck stolen. So this is definitely going to help to recover from that.
Yeah.
It's quality merchandise, so definitely go on Kickstarter and take a look.
Yeah, definitely go take a look. Tasty Peach Studios.
Yeah.
They're fellow Final Fantasy players, so definitely
give them a look.
They're adorable.
Yes, they are adorable.
I don't mean I don't know about the people. I've never met them, but I meant the plushies. But so yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you all at FanFest. Anyone who is listening, just look for the confused British person that's quite short, that's kind of like a Lalafell running around into walls. Probably
and
me.
asking, can I get macaroni and cheese here?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You never
I
know
actually
it
have
down.
one more shout out.
Yes.
To our buddy who's not here tonight, Sarah Timono.
Yes.
We miss you, buddy.
Yep, Sarah, definitely. Unfortunately, work conflict kept him from joining us tonight because of the change in schedule. But he will be back. Rest assured, we will have another lore segment coming forward. So look forward to that. I don't know if it's going to be quite up to Remix's standards, but it's pretty good stuff. He is the librarian for a reason. I'm going to shout out to Paul and Chille at Moogle Around. We just put up their new episode this afternoon. Real life is getting everybody heavy, so it was a little bit late going up. So that's been released. Go take a look at that. Also to Chille's other podcast at what is that one called?
PlayStation Unchained.
PlayStation Unchained. Go check them out and his website PSU.com, PlayStation Universe. So, all right, I think we've had enough shout-outs. You can find us, again, like I said, at phoenixdownradio.com, Twitter at PHXDNRadio. Email us questions, comments, snide remarks, how awesome everybody looks on here, how much Klauss is a scrub, at podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. And again, if you're a first time here listening to us live and you haven't yet, or you're listening to us on the podcast and you want to check us out live, come out to twitch.tv/phoenixdownradio. Every other Saturday night is when we normally podcast. And go ahead and follow us. You'll know when we go live for podcasts as well as for random things when I decide to go out there. So for our guests, Emi and Remix Sakura, for Chille, for Luna, for the missing Seo and missing Sarah, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.